I missed a couple videos for National French Week. C'est la vie. Bonjour tout le monde and welcome to Turn Back the Clock with stock number 12. This week we're starting on November 8th in 1793. Now the Louvre had been a palace for the kings, and it has its history all the way back to the medieval times. And when you visit it today, you can still see the medieval footings for it. And they were finally able to go in and see how the king was living while they were starving and scrounging for food. On November 9th in 1799, Napoleon stages a coup d'etat, and he overthrew the Directory. Remember, the Directory was that five-man legislative group? Napoleon came in, he took over, and we know the Napoleonic history. Also on November 9th, in 1953, Cambodia is granted independence from France. I've always liked Cambodia. I've never visited there, but just the word itself, usually countries that end with an E in French are feminine, like La France, l'Espagne, l'Italie. But Cambodia ends with an E, but it's masculine. Le Cambodge. I don't know why, I just like that. November 10th, 1793, there's a festival held in Notre Dame to celebrate the goddess of reason. Now this is still during the French Revolution, and remember in a previous episode I said that the French were not only overthrowing the monarchy, they wanted to get rid of the church as well, because the church crowned the king. But they soon realized that it was easier to change your government than it is to change your faith, so they went back to the regular church, Catholic Church. November 11th, 1918. Now this is a day that everyone should know because it's Armistice Day, and it signaled the end of hostilities for World War I on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Over in Europe, you had all of these Fêtes de la Victoire, festivals, parties for victory, and France held some of the most magnificent. Agatha Christie, you all know I'm a big fan of Agatha Christie. She wrote a book called The Affair at the Victory Ball. Actually, not a book, it's a short story. The Affair at the Victory Ball, in which a murder takes place at one of these parties. It's a wonderful story. Go check it out. November 12th, 1840, Auguste Rodin dies. Rodin was a sculptor. A lot of people look at him as one of the greats. His most famous works are The Thinker, which there are several of them. The most famous one is in Paris. The Gates of Hell and The Three Fates. I am in the minority when I say I am not a fan of Rodin. I think his forms are bulky. They're too weighty. I do like The Gates of Hell, but that's pretty much it. Still, when we go to Paris, we do stop by the Rodin Museum. It's worth a visit. I just see the two or three that I like, and then I go off and have a cafe or something. Also on November 12th, in 1859, we had the first flying trapeze act by, what's his name, Jules Léotard. And you might imagine, what garment do you think Léotard invented? That's right, he invented the leotard. And he needed that so that he could fly through the air without his clothes getting caught on the apparatus. November 13th, 1907, we had the first helicopter to achieve free flight for 20 seconds, and it was in Lisieux, France. On November 14th, 1840, we have the birth of Claude Monet in Paris. Now, there is not enough that you can say about the importance of Claude Monet in the art world. Some people will say that he was the inventor of Impressionism. His paintings, there are just so many of them. It was hard for me to select two or three to show you here. He really revolutionized art and how artists view the world. He was an incredible man, incredible. His last few years, he lived in a place called Giverny, and it's one of my favorite places to go in France. Finally, on November 14th in 1887, we had the inauguration of the Pasteur Institute in Paris. It was actually founded on June 4th of 1886, but it wasn't inaugurated until November 14th, 1887. And of course, they do research there for medicine and vaccinations and everything that Pasteur believed in. That's this week in French history. I want to encourage all of you to go check out Mr. Holt's video. He has a very special guest this week who does a horrible job at a quiz on American history. So check that out and don't think any less of your French teacher. I'll see you next week. À bientôt.
Hey man, that's groovy.